Backing Ole Miss and Liberty a little bit from Saturday. The Rebels took a 24-0 lead into the first half. Second play of the game, Jerrion Ely with a 70-yard house call to make it 7-0. Caden Costa kicked a field goal late in the first quarter. Ely had another touchdown run in the second quarter, and then there was a big pass play, Matt Corral to Dennis Jackson, to make it 24-0. So about as good a first half as you could expect. Lane Kiffin said going off the field at halftime, they had a couple of drives stall out. They had, one where they went for it on fourth down and didn't convert and had to punt on one. And
yeah, the nature of the game made that fourth down call not something that anybody's talking about. You're really going to tell me the book says to go for it there?
What was it, midfield-ish?
And it was not like 4th and 2.
It was 4th and 6?
Yeah. I mean, are you really telling me the book says to go for it there? Yeah, maybe it does. Maybe it does, but...
The story of the first half, though, wasn't what the offense did. It was the fact that the defense pitched a shutout and had 7 sacks. They got to Malik Willis 7 times in the first half and finished the game with 9 sacks. Second half was a different story, though, as Ole Miss did almost nothing offensively. Liberty scored a touchdown on its first drive of the second half to make it 24-7. Caden Costa kicked a field goal in the third quarter to make it 27-7. Malik Willis ran for a touchdown with a minute left in the third, and that was all the scoring for the game. 27-14, Ole Miss gets the win. There was only one point where the game felt even remotely uncomfortable, like even a little bit uncomfortable, and that's when Liberty was driving, trying to make it 27-21 with about 4 or 5 minutes left in the game, and Malik Willis threw his third interception of the day. I guess the things that stood out outside of the 70-yard rushing touchdown from Jerrion Ely, and Lane Kiffin talked about this, the running game was not very good. Offensive line didn't do a great job opening holes. Running backs didn't do a great job hitting holes or making things happen. John Rice Plumlee has his best game by far. I mean, was a significant factor in the passing game. Dennis Jackson stepped up and played really, really well, and not just in a deal where he ran by somebody and was wide open. Like, he made difficult catches. And Matt Corral throws for 324 yards on like an ankle and a half. Or 2 banged-up ankles or whatever. And Kiffin said today, he has a setback on his recovery every time he plays because he, aggravates the ankle injuries. And you could see it as the game went along. He was hobbling more and more. He doesn't have the burst when he's trying to run. I mean, the quarterback run is basically non-existent right now for Ole Miss with Matt Corral, and that was such a huge part of the offense.
Yeah, and it was clear they told him to protect himself, too. There were a couple of times where, even a hobbled him would have gotten a first down running and just slid in open space because I'm sure they told him, you do not take hits today. If you slide short of a first down, fine. Don't take a hit today. It was pretty clear at a couple of those. But, yeah, I noticed also, and he probably said the same thing to you, but not excusing a poor second half because they played like crap in the second half of that game. Let's be honest. They were significantly better than Liberty. They were more physical. They had better players. They were significantly better than them. They were going into the halftime locker room 24-0, and their coach compared what they were planning on doing in the second half to a preseason game in the NFL, emptying the bench, stuff like that. And so when that's the message from the coach at halftime, are you surprised they come out of the locker room and aren't particularly sharp early in the second half when you're talking about emptying the bench?
Is that what he said to television?
It was, I think he said that to you, right?
I don't remember him saying that.
But on television, it was, we're looking forward to playing a bunch of guys in the second half.
Yeah. I will say that his message to the team in the locker room was nothing along those lines. I mean, they came in and they're talking, scoreless game. Let's go double up what we did in the first half. I mean, that was kind of the approach that they had. I mean, maybe guys are just smart enough to look at the scoreboard and see what it is and kind of coast.
Sleepy atmosphere, You're winning 24-0.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
All right, so what about the tweets post-game?
Do we have to start with those?
Let's wait till winners and losers because I'll cover it for you.
Okay.
But
I mean, I don't know. I guess the reason that I kind of went to that, Borky, is in terms of the game itself, Ole Miss played pretty well in the first half. They played pretty poorly in the second half. The game was never in question. They're incredibly banged up, but hopeful they're maybe going to get some guys back this week that they really, really need to get back. And Hugh Freeze is now in the rearview mirror. Like, he's fired after the summer before the 17 season or whatever year it was. I think that's right. Yeah, it was after the 16 season before the 17 season. And you go through the couple of years of Matt Luke, and basically all of his players are no longer there. And now you've played him, and he's come back, and he's talked about how great it was, and you took some shots at him on social media. Somebody took some shots at him on social media after it was all over. And basically we can be done with Hugh Freeze now.
Yeah, we definitely put that story to bed for sure. I hate that you're right, and I hate that the tweets are the thing that was the most interesting thing that happened when you had what most people believe are the first and second quarterback taken in this year's draft going against each other, and one of them, I mean, strongly outperformed the other on...
If Malik Willis is the second quarterback taken in this year's draft, this is not a very good draft class.
And it's probably not anyway, especially in terms of depth, but I will defend him a little bit, just a little bit. It's hard to play that position when your guys up front are so overmatched and your receivers don't really get separation. It's tough to play quarterback when you are under duress basically every snap. However, when he did have time, he was inconsistent and made bad decisions. I mean, that first was it the first one where he just simply he telegraphed a pass and did not see a safety over the top and just floated it to him, essentially. Was that the first or the second pick?
Was that the one kind of going down the east sideline?
Yeah, they were on their way in to score, it felt like.
That ball was severely underthrown. Didn't see anybody. I mean, it was a terrible throw.
Awful. And then the one that sealed the game was another just awful decision. I mean, he's talented. He's clearly very talented.
Made a pretty athletic play to go turn himself into receiver mode and go catch that ball at the back of the end zone.
Yeah.
He's sort of, in baseball they draft all the guys all the time on tools. He's very toolsy. He's got the big arm. He can move. He's got the frame, but it doesn't come all together. He's a guy that you draft, and you hope you can develop him over a couple of years in an NFL system. He can be a 5-tool kind of player, I guess.
It's a really good comparison. That's exactly what he looks like.
He was a little shorter than I thought. He was only about 6'2", but he was
bigger.
He was thick and really, really strong in his lower body.
2 C's on the thick?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Are you back to what the kids are saying?
I am. I'm very hip.
I just thought a strong and physical runner. On short passes, look, I'm so far from a quarterback evaluator or talent evaluator or whatever. I'm just telling you what I saw. On short passes, I thought the ball exploded out of his hand, like a lot of zip on a 20-yard out route or a hitch. I was not really that impressed with his arm in throwing the deep ball.
You can see why Gus Malzahn recruited him. He's perfect for Malzahn's offense.
Without a doubt.
It's almost like if Gus had played him.
Might still be at the head coach at Auburn today. And in the second half, I watched so much college football. Do you want to guess how many steps I took on Saturday?
74.
Are you sub 1,000?
Oh, buddy, I took 96. I was in the recliner all day watching college football. So,
do you know how hard it is to only...
I leave my phone on the charger.
You didn't take enough trips to the restroom to cover more than 96 steps over the course of a day?
It's a short jaunt to the restroom in my house. But that said, I watched basically this entire game, and I mean, honestly, Ole Miss wasn't that impressive either. They didn't have to be, and they did exactly what I said on Friday. They got out, they put them away early, and then the game was over. It was over at 17-0. But the second half, I mean, you had a chance to sort of put them away and never did. And it was more interesting than it needed to be in the fourth quarter. It did not need to be as, well, if they could get another score, this could be interesting. That was the whole fourth quarter.
I bet you were cheering your heart out from your recliner, weren't you?
I was hoping somebody would win the day.
Well,
but they didn't.
That's not what the tweet said.
We'll talk about that
in
in
what the
Winners
second
and
tweet
Losers.
said.